Messages from Shaltazar through the eyes of spirit. Greetings, dear ones. We are Shaltazar, the Gavishpaninu, the energy of 33, the Master Teacher, and we have come forth at this time to bring you divine wisdom. You are in the midst of very turbulent and challenging times. We are sorry that you are going through these bumps in the road, but you are in the energy of the great potential for change, where no change is not an option. So hold on as the path may get uncomfortable. Realize that you are doing your part to bring forth a new world order, to give rise to changes for humanity that are important. This energy has come forth to your planet many times before. It is not punishment, it is not retribution, it is not judgment, and it is not even karma. It is for the good of all humanity, no matter how distressing it is. And we hear you cry out, but how can it be easier for us? How can we handle this change in a way that is not so grueling and tough? We would say to you, go within. Go within and connect with your divinity. And although that answer seems trite and simplistic, it is an important component of getting through these challenging times. And again, we hear you ask, how can going within solve the problems that are all around us? When we do our meditations, when we do our yoga, when we go within, once we open our eyes, the problems of the world are still there. The world is hurting, and there is pain and suffering all around us. So how is escaping within going to solve this dilemma? And we would agree what you say makes logical sense. But going within is only the first step. Going within allows you to visit an oasis in the midst of the storm. It allows you to refill your love tank. It allows you to reestablish your sense of calm. It allows you to remove yourself from the torrent of fear-creating content, anger, and infighting. It allows a temporary reprieve from the challenges, trials, and tribulations which can overwhelm you. But let us assure you, there is no other way for your world to change. This turbulence must be experienced to bring forth the change. So we suggest you go within. Connect with the still point. Connect with that part of you which is the source. For there is a piece of God in every human being upon your planet. It is easy to lose the connection to your divinity when you focus on the outside world, especially when the outside world is being stirred up and is in such chaos. So, we recommend you spend as much time as you possibly can on the art of going within, so you may find peace and calm. Find the stillness. Create the space so you can go deeper and deeper into the stillness, into the nothingness. When you do so, you will find that the veil will be pulled back so you can get a glimpse of your multidimensional self, that part of you which has been here many times before, that part of you which is the unity of Source, that is the oneness, that is the all. And for what purpose are we suggesting you connect with your divinity? So you may begin to have a different perspective on your human life. All of you know what your human perspective is. But when you escape your humanness, when you move behind the veil, when you connect with us, when you connect with your divinity, you will perceive life on planet Earth in a very different way. You gain a different perspective. Let us explain so you may comprehend better what we are saying. When you look at a photo of a scenic place in nature, you see it from a flat, two-dimensional perspective. It may look beautiful, but it is just a picture of something that is so much more. If you were able to visit the place in the photo, you would see it in a different way. You would realize there is more to that place than the photo depicts. A third dimension has been added to your perspective. Depth has been added, an increased aspect to your experience. It feels so much more real and powerful than the two-dimensional photo. You decide to stay for a while because this place is so beautiful and serene. You may even choose to meditate to take in the energy of this stunning example of Mother Nature. As you sit and stare at the magnificent scenery, you realize there is a fourth dimension coming into your perspective, which is time. The passage of time adds a different element to your experience. The sun that was high in the sky when you arrived is beginning to set off in the horizon. The landscape you are staring upon takes on yet another new aspect. Hopefully, we have illustrated the more dimensionality you open yourself to, the more profound your perspective. More dimensions offer greater depth, greater understanding, and a greater appreciation of what you are experiencing. In human form, however, you are limited to only 4 dimensions. And so, dear ones, we suggest to you that when you move above the 4th dimension, when you move above your physicality, when you move behind the veil, you will see life from an increased dimensionality. And from that increased dimensionality, the perspective of your experiences will be very different than what you are perceiving in your human physicality. We encourage you to connect strongly to your higher self, to your spirit self, so that you may view your life from a spiritual perspective more of the time. By seeing life only from the human perspective, you miss out on a deeper and more powerful and profound interpretation of what your life is all about. Just as you realized the great difference between looking at a photo and experiencing a magnificent sunset in a stunning vista. If you are prepared to look at your life from a spiritual perspective more of the time, you will have a greater understanding of the trials, tribulations, challenges, and difficulties that your planet is facing at this monumental time in human history. Your non-physical perspective will give you a point of view that will allow all your challenges and struggles to make greater sense. When you connect to your spiritual perspective, it is like moving to the mountaintop where you can see clearly in many directions. It is like looking down upon your life from on high. What you see is very dissimilar from being on the ground. We have shared much about perspective and how your perception determines your reality. So we urge you to begin to nurture your spiritual perspective, to look at life and all that is happening around you from a more divine viewpoint. It will change your reality in a big way. The only way to do so is to connect to your spirit, to connect to that non-physical part of you, for your divinity will bring you greater understanding, greater clarity, and a different interpretation of what is occurring all around you. It is impossible for you to fully fathom the invisible world while in human form. Therefore, seeing things from a spiritual perspective will be challenging at first. Since you do not fully comprehend how spirit perceives, deciphers, and understands your duality, it will take practice interpreting the events in your life from a spiritual perspective. Be patient and practice observing things from the bigger picture. Soon, you will better appreciate what the spiritual perspective is trying to tell you. We bring you this message from a place of love. Our love for you is unconditional and everlasting. We urge you, dear ones, to begin to look at what is happening in your life, at all life on planet Earth, through the eyes of spirit. Cultivate and nurture your spiritual perspective so you can begin to interpret what is happening around you from that vantage point more of the time. It will mitigate your suffering and allow you to live more in peace, tranquility, and harmony.